One night my band was playing and I was drinking, but of course, singing, lead singing, and playing lead guitar, you can't get too blitzed, but I was definitely inebriated. So, this is a story about pulling up in front of my house after driving 2 towns, and my wife at the time told me we had steak, but no mushrooms. Well, I had to have mushrooms. So, I peeled out of there, went down to the bottom of the street, and there was a three-way intersection, and it was a yellow red. It was the quickest red to yellow to red you ever seen. So I went through it, and there was two cruisers sitting where I couldn't see them, and they pulled me over. Had my wife and my 2-year-old daughter in the car. The first thing I said was, "I'm suspended, officer," and I really thought my license was suspended. He comes back and he says, "Well, I don't know where you got that, but you're totally legal to drive. Have you been drinking?" And I had my guitar in the back seat. I said, "Well, I had a couple of beers, but my band just got done rehearsing." And I said, "Certainly I can't drink and play." So, anyways, my wife and my daughter was in the doorway of this building. This is right on Main Street of my town, and they're crying. And he said, "Well, I appreciate your honesty, and I feel bad for your family, but you have a warrant," which I didn't know existed. It was for $150 that I owed the court. And with a warrant, there's nothing they can do. So they took me to my home lockup in Webster, and but the warrant was out of Oxford, Master, like the next town over. So they called Oxford. Oxford came down to pick me up, and the Webster police, and I give them a lot of credit for this. They said, "Hey, treat this guy good. He's a good guy," and they did. They took me to Oxford. And, of course, I had to take my shoelaces off or whatever the fuck it was and my belt because they don't want you to hang yourself in a cell. And they took my cigarettes. Every time I asked for a cigarette, I didn't make a big habit of it, but every hour or two, I'd knock on a cell. They'd bring me a cigarette and I'd smoke it. They treated me very well. But no place you want to stay. I was there for 2.5 days, all right? And there's no toilet seat. There's no mattress on the bed. There's like a 3 million watt bulb that's on 24/7. It fucking sucks being there. But I mean, they fed me good. They bought me grinders, and on Sunday I got arrested on a Friday night. On Sunday they gave me the Sunday Telegram, which is like this thick. It was the first time in my life I think I read every page there was. But on Saturday night, all right. On Saturday night, I wanted to kill somebody. I mean, there was this kid, and he was causing a problem. He was drunk at this used car lot. So he called for his father. His father came, and he was more drunk than the son and was arrested. They bring him to the jail I'm at. And I can hear him in the other room, and he's like, They told him, like me, you got to take your shoelaces off and your belt off. "You want my shoelaces? You want my belt? Here you go." And the next thing you know, I see him walk by me, bollocking bare ass, except for his socks. I'm like, what the fuck? This is crazy, right? So, all night long, "I know my rights. I know my rights." I wanted to go in there and fucking annihilate him. Then they had another, and as the police would change shifts. Oh yeah, and in cell 3, there's Lady Godiva. They were calling him all kinds of shit because he refused to get dressed. Right. Another guy across from me, there was another set of cells. He's trying to flush toilet paper down the fucking, trying to flood the place out, and he's banging on everything, yelling and screaming. I never wanted to kill a couple of people more in my life. Monday rolls around, and this fucking asshole, Lady Godiva, did not want to get dressed, and I can't wait to get out of there, right? So they kept telling him, "You got to get dressed." I know my rights, and the cops are telling him, "We're not bringing you before the judge with just your socks. You need to get dressed," right? So finally, we go to the courthouse. And this guy comes in. I assume he's from probation or whatever the fuck. And he opens his big book. Thud. He says, "Do you have the $150?" I said, "If I had the $150, because but that by the way, I had to spend 2.5 days in jail because I did not have the $150 on a court fine. You can't bail out. You have to pay the fine you owe, and then they'll bail you out. I didn't have it." So I told the guy if I had the $150, I wouldn't have spent the weekend in jail. He closed the book. He says, "Well, it's $30 a day at the House of Correction." I'm not a fucking criminal. I didn't want to go to the fucking Worcester House of Correction for I think it was $30 a day. So it took me like 5 days to pay it off, and fuck that. So I wound up getting community service. I'm thinking, hey, I'll be picking up fucking beer cans and shit on the side of the road like you see these guys do all the time. No, they gave me a job at the fucking courthouse, and the very first job I had was Monday morning, where I knew half of the people that are standing out on the steps smoking, with a squeegee washing the windows, and all I heard was, "What, do you got a new job, Rick?" And it was just a ball-busted thing. They tried everything to piss me off, but I just rolled with it. I bit my tongue. They fucking liked me. And I spent 8 hours there the first day. The second day I showed up, I was there an hour. The third day, the same thing. The rest of the week, all I had to do was show up for an hour. So, anyways, that's just a shitty fucking story. And it was all over a can of mushrooms and $150 I owed the courthouse that I didn't know existed. This is Rick from Webster Talk Radio. Peace out.